Welcome, my dear viewer, to this platform on Bridge Repairers as we continue with the Self series. And on today's Self series, we are talking about a very interesting topic, and that is self-awareness. My name is Rina Ndungu. Welcome as we start on self-awareness. Now, if I asked you a question, who knows you best? What will be your answer? I know some would say, God knows me best. Now, in this aspect, let's put God as constant. Now, God being constant, who knows you best? I'm saying God being constant because God absolutely knows all of us in and out, knows each and every one of us because He is our creator. And so, God remaining constant, who knows you best? I know probably in your mind you're saying, my spouse knows me best, my mother, my father, my siblings know me best. But the truth of the matter is, you are the only one who can tell us how much you know yourself, who can tell us who you are, who can tell us more about you. And the problem is that we leave this aspect to be defined by other people. We let people define who we are, we let people tell us who we are, and we run with it, and later on you get at a rock bottom and you have to come back to yourself, find yourself, and start all over again. And so that is why I said God remaining constant. When I say self-awareness is knowing yourself, I'm basically saying knowing yourself in terms of your thoughts, your emotions, your behavior or character, strengths and weaknesses, your beliefs, your value systems, letting these things be at your fingertip. Not just I behave this way and that is who I am, but to behave this way because of ABCD. Now that is self-awareness. Most people leave it at I behave this way, that is it. But you've never wanted to know, why do I behave this way? Or I do feel this way when this happens to me. But you have never wanted to know, why do you feel this way when certain things happen to you in a certain way? So that is where self-awareness comes in. And that is why I say that these things need to be at your fingertip, so that you are a fully packaged person. Now let's talk about your thoughts. Your thoughts determine how you process things. And how you process things determines how you perceive things. For instance, let's talk about your mental models now. The internal maps that your mind uses to enable you to understand the world around you. Some people operate on fixed mindset, others operate on a growth mindset. Now, these are two different people who can go through the same situation and perceive it very differently, work on it very differently, and get very different results. So this is where self-awareness becomes so an intentional thing that someone needs to really be aware of. Because if you don't know that you always operate on a fixed model, but that is how you have been, that is how you have always done things, you meet a situation and you're like, if it can't go this way, then that is it. Like your mind is so fixed, it has to go this way. If it doesn't go this way, then I'm done, I'm doomed. But someone else will be like, things happen, and so I'm aspiring this thing to go this way, but it can go the other way. If it goes the other way, it will be a chance for me to learn. It will be a chance for me to get new ideas on that particular thing. So two people having this different mindset will go through a same situation, but again, process it differently and have different perspectives about it. So how much do you know yourself when it comes to your thoughts? What are your mental models? What are the internal maps that you use to define the world around you? That will help you understand yourself much better. There's more to mental models, but I'm just trying to use that as an example, the growth and fixed mindset, which most people find themselves most people find themselves in the two, either lying on more on the one and little on the other. So which one do you use? when it comes to how you process things, how you define the world around you. There are people who are generally negative. Yeah. Like entirely negative. Something happens in their lives and they're like, I will never recover from this. Something happens and they're like, I am just a failure. So how you take things around you, the thoughts in your mind, tell people more about you. So do you know your thought process? Something to think about. Now, when it comes to emotions, as we talk about self-awareness, it is more of recognizing and being aware of what triggers certain emotions in you. Like probably you get angry so easily. Or if someone does a specific thing to you, you probably feel like that's rejection for me. But is it just rejection, or it is a trigger of something that is there within you that has never been dealt with? So when it comes to knowing yourself in terms of your emotions, then you have to understand your triggers, understand where they are coming from, and be able to handle them like in line with this something is a negative thing and I need to deal with it or heal from it so that my life is whole. All right? And emotions are a very critical part of our lives, which in one way or another, if they don't get addressed appropriately, for example, when it comes to emotional expression, people find themselves in some situations that are so tight, which they would have handled in an easy way, but they were unable to express their emotions appropriately. For example, you get hurt. Someone says something that hurts you, but you swallow it up. It keeps building, and with time, you realize that it is unbearable for you. So you burst out, probably in anger, and you do some terrible thing that leaves everyone surprised. So knowing your emotions is very important. What triggers them and why? So something to think about also. Now, our behaviors really speak much about us. When it comes to self-awareness, it is interesting that sometimes you might be wondering, why do people take me so lightly? I'm a serious person. So in your mind, you are a serious person. But when they look at your behavior, they take you lightly because of what your behavior is telling them. All right? Your behavior will tell people how to handle you. For example, the way we are used to be told, you will be addressed the way you are dressed. Okay? So if you go in a place, people are having fun, for example, in a picnic, and you are gone in a suit with a tie, well-polished shoes, and people are in a picnic, sure. Just there is a message you're sending to these people, and in one way or another, the way they will be interacting is not with others who are dressed similar is not the way they will be interacting with you. And you might ask yourself, why are people not associating with me in this picnic today? But it's how you are dressed. And that speaks largely about our lives. So when it comes to behavior, you have to look at your actions and how you respond to things in different situations. And that will tell you something about yourself. That probably you are a quick decision maker, probably you are a slow decision maker, probably you are a person who gets offended easily. And when you get offended easily, there is something that you normally do. So there are those specifics to your behavior that will tell you one thing or another about yourself. So how do you respond to different situations? That will tell you more about yourself. And it's something to take note of if it is a behavior that often puts other people in danger, you need to work on it. If it's a behavior that endangers other people, you see, that is something that needs to be worked on. For example, you get angry. When you get angry, someone must be hurt. You probably would use anything around you to hit them. So that is something that definitely needs attention. So when you are able to know yourself in these aspects, also in the aspect of your strengths and weaknesses, how much do you know about the strengths you have, like your abilities, your talents, the things that are within you that you can do perfectly and uniquely, more than any other person can? And this is where we draw the line, because most people will keep like looking at others, admiring others, but you never come to a point of like looking inwardly and saying, by the way, I can also. For example, you could be a very good problem solver, but you never take initiative. Whenever there is an opportunity, you're so reserved that you've never explored deeply. And you know, I'm a person who thinks quickly, and I can actually bring change in this area or in that area. So you find some things, you just lie on them, wake up on them, they continue to decay as years go by. So self-awareness is largely on these aspects, knowing more about these specific aspects of yourself. Also on values. What values do you stand for? Are they godly values? Because the values that you stand for determine the decisions that you, or rather the direction you take in life. So the value system of your life, what does it dictate? Does it dictate that you can do anything, anywhere, anytime to anybody? What does your value system dictate? Something to know more about. Your belief system, what does it dictate? In conclusion, self-awareness is knowing the basics and the specific aspects of you as a person, and knowing them not just based on the basics, knowing them inward and outward. You know your emotions, you know the triggers of your emotions, you know why you get such triggers. You know the behavior, the behaviors that you have, you act in certain ways in some situations, but you know why. You also know your thought processes. You know the mental models that you operate on. And so that is basically what will enable you say, I know myself. I am self-aware. And you can confidently stand before people and truly say, this is who I am. And remember, when I started, I said, God being constant. Now, God being constant is you and me acknowledging that we cannot fully be able to deal with some of the things in our lives if we don't connect with the one who really knows us better than we know ourselves. The Word of God says that the heart of man is deceitful above everything. Who can know it? But it continues to say that God knows everyone, knows every heart, and he searches the heart of man, that he might reward everyone according to his deeds. So if God knows us that much, then we can only connect with him to enable us know ourselves better. So self-awareness, connecting with God, makes a whole person. Because along the journey, you might need healing. You might need restoration of some of the broken pieces of your life. And there is nowhere else you can get that apart from the one who made you. And that's where now God remains constant when it comes to knowing yourself. Know God, know yourself. That's it for today. See you in the next episode on the Self series.